Welcome back to another podcast.
Welcome back, everybody.
It's the Allie and Dan experience. It's an experience.
It's an experience.
I've always said that.
Thank you for being part of the experience.
Yep. Views are up. Subscribers are up. My self-esteem is up for the time being.
We're really excited here.
So everything's going fantastic. We want to welcome you guys back. And we had a huge day yesterday. Allie had many appointments. Babe, give us a brief, fill us in, like how was yesterday for you?
Yeah, yesterday I had a lot of self-care appointments.
You go, girl.
Getting my body ready for for what is about to happen. And we'll give you just a brief update on the midwife appointment. I had my cervix checked. Maybe I shouldn't use that word. Was checked.
The right word. That's the right word.
And I am not really
I had a cervix
dilated.
sound effect there for you. Sorry.
I'm not really dilated, and so that's fine. It doesn't really mean anything. I just was wondering if I was. And I won't be checked again because it was very uncomfortable. But anyway, I mean, you can go from 0 to 10 in like 8 hours, or it can take like 40 some odd hours or weeks even.
No thanks.
So there's really it's not like a very good indication of when she's coming in.
So why did you do it then?
Curiosity, probably.
Well, I'm sitting there and I'm looking over, and here's my woman in someone else's bed, okay, with someone else lubing their fingers up and touching you. So if you're in my shoes and I'm sitting there in the corner, weak and afraid, and did you even think of how that might have made me feel?
Well, I'm not really sure. So
it made me feel pretty good. That one made. I was watching it. Round of applause for you. No, I think it was okay that you did it. Probably don't need to do it again.
No, I don't want to be checked until I am in active labor and feeling like I can't give anymore, and I want her to be like, "You're at a 9."
Well, speaking of getting checked, check this out. Yesterday, I completed my first solo project on Hell in the Van, so I can now no longer be put into a category of worthless male companion that you put me in, emasculate me regularly, and that feels really good. I completed my first project, guys. It was a drawer that now houses our knives, silverware, some utensils for the kitchen. I found a spot. I said, this is a spot that can use something because it's open space, and open space in a van is valuable, right?
And even if it's a couple of inches.
Couple of inches. I mean, that's what she said. But anyways, I finished that project on the second half of yesterday, and boy, oh boy, has it already been a dream come true. Yeah,
I am very proud. I used to, even up until not long ago, be the one that even fixed everything on the van. Mm-hmm. It's not that Dan didn't know how. Mm-hmm. He just, I don't know, probably it's mine, and he didn't want to, I don't know, insert himself, I guess.
Oh, speaking of getting checked, I didn't want to insert myself into your van. Sorry. Not
Dan
appropriate.
is being exceptionally inappropriate today.
Well, listen, it's the van fam, baby, and they're adults.
Okay.
That's one thing I know about a van fam is we have adults.
So anyway, I'm super proud. It's awesome. It's a great thing. We used to have our silverware in a glass jar up in the cupboard, and it was a pain in the arse. And now it's really convenient, except for we can't get the drawer open. We need a handle still.
Yeah. Yep. And then, man, oh man, I am loving it. This is the first time in the van that the silverware has been easily accessible. So I'm really happy. And it just felt good to complete a project and to see it through from start to finish. It was a very simple project. But
you know what we could
learned a lot.
Is just take a saw, like a hole saw, and then our finger can open it. And then we don't even have to put a...
Yeah.
We can insert our finger.
Wow.
Like a midwife.
Oh my God. Oh my God, guys.
Anyway,
I got to give you an air sound for that. Okay. Seriously, let's jump into... This is a current events podcast. We only discuss current events here. apparently, even though we didn't just discuss. Well, yesterday's events were current. But we didn't finish. So you had your midwife appointment. And guys, think about this. We were in the car from 9 to, I want to say 3 o'clock. I was basically in the van the whole time because you basically said you'll drive me from appointment to appointment and you'll wait outside in between appointments.
The reality of it when you live in a van together is that he actually it's not that he has no choice, but where else is he going to go? I guess you could have gone and sat in the library or coffee.
That's what every woman I've ever dated prior to you has also said to me. Where else are you going to go? So that just reinforced that idea yesterday.
But Dan chauffeured and carried and took the dogs for a walk.
Yes,
and
I did.
So on and so forth.
So first you had your haircut and you did. It wasn't really a haircut. It was more of a face frame, right?
It was, yeah.
And then I chauffeured you to the midwife appointment, which I was allowed to attend. And that's where you got your check done. And I sat in the corner. And
that was the main reason you came with me all day, is so that you were there for that.
Correct, Amundo. And then we went to your chiropractor appointment. New chiropractor, new adjustments. Did it satisfy you? Give me a 1 out of 10 on the new chiropractor as of yesterday.
The new chiropractor was fantastic. He's this big Samoan guy,
good.
and he could pick me up and crack my neck and everything. The unfortunate thing that he said, and he gave me some stretches and exercises to do, but because I am so close to giving birth, he couldn't really readjust my hip and lower back like I wanted because things could have gone wrong, but B, they might not have. It wouldn't have even really stayed because apparently I'm so loosey-goosey in there at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And he said, come back when you're all done. Today I got a massage and he says, I can't really go too deep right there because, you're just about to give birth. Come back when you're done. I'm like, no, I'm in pain now. Fix me now. No, I didn't say that, but I tried.
Yeah, well, you should have stood up for yourself. Okay, so after chiropractor, I then chauffeured you to acupuncture, which was... before chiropractor, I chauffeured you up to Costco. I paid for the gas to put in the van. I then paid for all the groceries, and then you bought us a piece of pizza for $2.
Yeah, well, typically I buy the dog food because Huck eats 75% of it.
75, guys.
So it was nice of you to buy the dog food for the first time.
Right. Anyways, I was just joking around. We split costs. But then I took you to chiropractor. Then I took you to acupuncture. Now, acupuncture, some people say it can help get labor started.
Well,
your thoughts?
I had it yesterday for my hip. They don't do the acupuncture to get labor in motion, which is a different sequence of it until week 38.
Oh gosh.
So it's a whole different sequence. So she's been working on my hip and my lower back right now, and that felt great.
Good. Wow, that's fantastic. Great news. Wow. So yeah, I didn't get anything really done to my body yesterday. It would have been nice. I mean, fractured pelvis, major surgery recovery, but you are no, seriously, I'm not even, you need it, and I'm glad you got it.
Well, thanks.
Okay. So this is a current events podcast, and we talk about current events on this podcast, of course. And if you've never watched the podcast before, basically, Allie doesn't know anything about current events. So this is kind of me telling Allie what's happening in the world, and then seeing if she has any reaction at all to those events. And sometimes we strike gold, sometimes we get kind of a blank stare.
What do you have on the docket for today, young man?
Let's get started. Okay, this is a really... Where do I want to start? Let's start with falling home prices in local housing markets. So one of the things that Allie and I are really kind of focused on is what is our future going to look like after this year? I mean, essentially, we kind of have... And so there's a lot to unpack there, but one thing Allie and I are both interested in is we would like to find the right place, and we have a lot of different ideas, obviously,
tons of them. Yeah.
But I think just you're never going to find the first place isn't the perfect place. It might not be your forever place. But I think for us, making a move and getting something that we can fix up and would be really fun. And so I don't know. But maybe it's building our own house. That's one thing we will do at some point. I just don't know if it'll be first or second or whatever, right?
Sure.
But there are falling home prices. Obviously, as most people know, the economy is tanking. There's talks of World War III. There are talks of World War III, so it's definitely becoming a buyer's market. Dollar's very strong, but man, if you're in Europe and you're spending euros or pounds or whatever, Australian dollar, no bueno. It's basically the Russian ruble and the U.S. dollar are strong. Don't quote me on the Russian ruble, but I believe it's strong because Putin has all the gas and he's like kind of, I don't know, geopolitics. You know about geopolitics, right, babe?
Oh, I never heard the word in my life.
But anyways, getting back to the housing prices, we're buyers. We're in a buyer's market. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm excited to see where things go. I think we're still waiting to see where they go. I think they can only get better for us for a long time, right?
So the trajectory is clear. This is on Yahoo News. That's kind of the place where we start for our news because, I feel like Yahoo is kind of like a middle player. They're not like biased to one side of the aisle or the other. So we start with Yahoo News. Falling home prices are getting more and more likely. And that kind of ties in with what you said is we don't know where we're going, but this is something that we like to hear.
Yeah. I think we could have all predicted it because it went so high. It was so ridiculous for so long.
I mean, I feel bad.
People were buying absolute junk holes
at
astronomical prices.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for people in Portland that bought in the inner city or like, in some of the, not the inner city, but like, in the kind of area near the main parts of the city. And, there's lawlessness. There's so much crime in Portland these days. And those home prices were at extreme highs. I mean, I would just hate if I bought that.
But then their house. So what I saw a lot of that I just can't get over is they paid so much for their house. But then it's like their house, a sidewalk, that patch of grass before the road. And that's where the homeless people were living.
Right across the street.
Not even across the street.
Not even across the street.
Across the sidewalk.
New neighbors. Well, new neighbors in town, baby, and they're bringing down the property values, unfortunately. Okay, so here's a statement. Markets already posting monthly declines are generally concentrated in the West and Mountain West, particularly Washington, Idaho, California, Utah, Colorado, Oregon, Montana, Nevada, and Arizona.
Yeehaw!
Those are some pretty good states to be home shopping in.
Those are the states we are kind of
we like those states
looking at anyway.
Okay, so I just read you some states. Which states of those, I don't want to say like maybe 9 or 10 states I just read you, pops out to you that you think maybe is a place you'd end up soon for your first home?
I don't know. That's really difficult.
I just read you the list now just for the podcast, and I'm trying to hold my composure here. Pick a state or two and tell us.
Maybe like
I like Arizona. I like Utah.
Those were two I was going to say. I also want to say California, even though
California for sure.
Even though
if you can get a good deal.
Yeah.
That's tough though.
Even though I think that's maybe a little out of pricing budget. But yeah, Utah, Arizona, Montana, and Nevada don't really right now.
Same.
I'm kind of in neither with Idaho, and I'm kind of interested in Colorado.
Yep.
I have some cousins that live there, and I do like Colorado.
Love it.
But it is really far.
But again, we're
from the West Coast.
Yeah,
so.
we're kind of a nomadic couple. I mean, I see us finding the perfect place for our budget and for our lifestyle, and either turning a turd into a diamond, I guess is a saying that I've never heard before, or Yeah, just I would love to do a huge reno, wouldn't you?
For sure. I think so. The other day, a friend said to us, I think you go, whoa.
I've got a sound effect for that.
That's my rib.
I've got a sound effect for
alone,
that.
girlfriend.
Big kick, guys. Big kick. 36 and a half weeks pregnant. Big kick. Keep going.
And she said, I think you guys are just trying to avoid, or you keep denying that it's the Hood River area.
Right.
And I think she's somewhat right, but I think that we're still like looking elsewhere because maybe there is elsewhere.
I'm less invested in the gorge at this point.
I love it. I think we'll end up there one day.
I love it, but
I don't know.
There's 3 to 4 months out of the year that it's just absolutely terrible there, but that's okay. And nowhere's perfect. Literally nowhere's perfect. So, I really like the gorge. I don't know what I'm talking about. I really like the gorge. So, anyways, on top of this, I saw a post on Facebook from a friend of yours that is now become a friend of mine, who's a realtor in Spring Lake near Grand Haven, Michigan, who posted a $400,000 home built in like 2020 or 2021, I want to say like 2,300 square feet, good schools, like for $400,000, and this is a new, gorgeous home,
Shout
2-story.
Out Jenna Pope if anyone needs a realtor in the Midwest.
She's who you want to work with for
Western
sure.
Michigan. Anyway,
but I just thought I saw that, and then I think about all the research and just the stuff I've done looking at houses on this half of the country, and I see that, and I'm like, what are we thinking?
Yeah, we could be really living large.
Well, if
Michigan.
you can spend $400,000 on a brand new house, basically, with all the bells and whistles, for $400,000, 2,200 or 2,400 square feet.
No renovation required.
What can you get to reno?
Right. Well, there were houses that really needed a good reno, but in good areas for like well under $100,000, like 80, 90. In Michigan. I don't know. I can't remember how big they were. I don't remember a lot of it, but a couple years ago. And my brother and I mentioned it briefly. Like, should we get one? And maybe we should have, but we didn't.
Yeah,
I don't think you can get those now anyways.
No, not now. And that's okay. Things have changed since then, but no matter what, you can still get an affordable house. And those prices for me, coming from the West Coast, is just like, whoa, really eye-opening. And Spring Lake is a beautiful area. It's really cool. But I don't know, although your friends, a lot of them moved back and they love it, and your dad's lived there his whole life. And
I told you guys this, right? My dad, when I started traveling in a very big way right after college, and even during college.
Whoop-de-doo.
My dad said to me, like, he's like, I'm not concerned because all of my friends moved away after high school and all but one moved back.
Yeah, that seems to be a common thing. It's a great place to raise a family, although the way we do things, I think, as a family is a little different than probably the traditional American family. Yeah. But we'll see. We're actually not even really started on that front yet.
What do we know?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows?
It's just interesting, the housing prices. And like, for example, I could have the numbers a little bit wrong, but my brother has a 5-acre property. This was a pretty derelict garage. All dwellings were very derelict, very, very disgusting, and all needed extreme amounts of work to make them even livable. Extreme. And they have put in so much.
You're talking
work.
about the property your chalet is on.
That's right. Correct. And I think he paid $450,000 for this, 5 acres. My stepsister lives in Santa Cruz. They live very close to the ocean in Santa Cruz, and they have a double wide. And I think they paid $5.
Nah, something like that. I don't know. It's just those are the difference.
$550.
But then you look at the place that they live.
I mean, they can like walk to the beach. It's great.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic.
So it's just like the differences in houses that you get.
Yeah.
And it's a really nice double wide. It actually is like gorgeous.
It's huge. I've never been into one.
Really
and I was
big.
blown away.
And it doesn't, I mean, you don't like feel like you're in a trailer or anything. There's nothing wrong with them. I'm just saying these are the differences in a roundabout prices around the U.S.
Right. Okay, so we've touched on home prices. I mean, all good things are heading our way. Obviously, we're very excited about that. So maybe the pricing fairy will sprinkle a little fairy dust on us. I certainly don't need any more fairy dust, but I'll take a little more if it means lower house price. Okay, let's jump rapid fire into another topic. So I'm just going to bounce around here on a few topics. I don't even know what I got. Here's a fun one. Say what? This is on Yahoo News. Say what? That's the first two words of it.
What?
BLM founder Patrice Cullors allegedly spent thousands in backyard renos on her $1.4 million home. I think pretty much the people at the top of BLM are definitely embezzling money would be I mean, I feel like that's pretty obvious. And so she bought like a really nice house, 1.4 million, and she just gets to keep, skimming off the top, baby.
Here's my thing is when you see all these things happening online, like the Black Lives Matter, and then give me some more. I mean, a couple of years ago, and then with COVID, and then a couple of years ago, it seemed like every other month there was this new craze online that everybody was posting about.
Yeah.
The
power of social media,
or support that, or whatever, and everybody's asking for money. It's like, what is that money even going to?
Yeah. Well, I think that's a big question. I think.
How can I?
Oh, I think we know where it's going.
How does my $100 donation to Black Lives Matter actually support anything that needs to? That's what I don't get. I've never donated to any of that because I don't get it.
I bet if you donate $100 to Black Lives Matter, which is a corporation, I bet maybe somewhere between $1 to $3 will make it to a place where it impacts Black lives, I guess, or like inner cities or places that need it, whether it's whether it's rural. I don't know where it goes, but I will bet just based on my 35 or almost 36 years on this earth that a lot of it's going right into the pockets of the people at the top because it's a corporation, and they basically sell a message.
Like, what are they?
And they profit off of it.
What are they? I just don't get any.
Here's another spot.
Like, how can it be? How can your what are they actually doing?
Okay, listen to this. Last month, Shaloima Bowers, who emerged as the foundation's new leader in April, was accused of using $10 million in donor money to pay his privately owned Bowers consulting firm. So, I mean, that's like you just said. This money is just being funneled around.
I have to share a story. So back when the Black Lives Matter thing was like real hot on the internet, it was like I almost avoided the internet because
good call.
It was overwhelming, but B, it was just like, what? Like, I don't get it. Of course, I think Black Lives Matter. Like, what? But I don't understand what is going on and why everybody's sharing this and why one of my cousins posted online and said, I see you. If you're not sharing all of these things, I see who you are and you're just living your life. I see who you are and I will take note or something like that. And I was like,
yeah,
good for you. What does that like? And then people are just sharing, well, I donated to this because
they're virtue signaling.
Yeah, and they want recognition. Like, I just don't. It's
to answer your question, the movement at its core is about bringing light to police brutality against black people. I believe that's kind of the main, which I'm not going to say that isn't a thing. Of course, I think that is a huge issue. But what you're talking about is most people, like your cousin, is kind of a white virtue signaler, and so they think. Well, I think the problem I have is like why you should stay off social media in general, and why I think it's so toxic is like apparently posting stuff on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram is like helping, when in reality it's just causing more division.
That's what I don't get. It's like you didn't share that, or you're not sharing anything, you're not doing anything to support. It's like, well, how is clicking the share button showing my support? Okay, maybe it's getting it out to a few more people.
No, everybody knows. Everybody was in on it. Everybody was,
I'm not in belief that is the way to go about.
Well, you just went down a spicy alley.
Sorry.
But this was about how essentially I think the corporation Black Lives Matter is probably laundering all the money it gets. Now, I would be fully willing to donate my time and money if it was like, here's this project that we're going to do in this part of the country and we need this money to do it, and it made sense. Then I think if you could do that, that would be a good way to spend money and you could see the end result. Whereas like, these people are definitely...
I mean, I started a charity. I don't know if I've ever told this full story, but I started a charity when I was in Nepal when the earthquake happened. And I started it because I come from a pretty affluent area in Michigan, and who I was traveling with at the time also came from a very wealthy area in Sweden. And so we started a charity, and basically we just funneled our family and friends' monies to literally actually going out. I mean, okay, we had to rent a scooter. We paid for that ourselves, but like we went out ourselves and bought goods and like did what we could while we were there. And I personally even absorbed all of the transaction fees so that nobody's dollar went missing. And then my dear grandma was like, I couldn't figure out the link, so I donated to international aid or whatever. And I was like, well, I'm sure that did a lot. That money probably
didn't go anywhere.
Anyway.
That's the problem, and that's kind of why I brought this this article up, because it's proven that a lot of the biggest charities in the world, if you donate to them, I think something like 10% actually goes to the cause, and it might even be less than that. These are all I think it's 501c tax exempt things, and the people that run them take home large salaries, and oftentimes they have other jobs. It's not like their full job, but at the end of the day, I think there's better ways to spend money, and clearly with articles like this, people are skimming off the top. Did you skim any off the top of your charity?
No.
For Nepal? You didn't?
I told you I paid.
Oh, you fool.
Oh, I'm doing it all wrong.
No, seriously, babe. Always skim a little bit off the top for yourself, right?
No,
a little bit,
never.
A little bit for yourself, huh? Okay, let's move on. Let's jump over to finance. PayPal tells users it will fine them $2,500 for misinformation, and then backtracks immediately. Babe, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't get what that means. What do you mean misinformation?
Yeah.
And
buzzword. A buzzword. Meaningless buzzword, in my opinion. Keep going. Basically, if you say something that they don't like, you're going to get fined. So I guess everyone got real... They put this in their terms of service, and they didn't think anyone would read it, and it got out real quick.
But what do you mean? Like me as an individual, if I say something they don't like?
Well, let's say you started a charity in Nepal and you started saying that there was something going on and you were bringing light to it, but you were using PayPal to take all these donations, and they were like, oh, well, what you're saying about what's happening in Nepal is we're classifying that as misinformation because it goes against what the government says. Let's say you're saying something different than the government. Then they'll classify you as misinformation, and they'll do a lot worse to you than pull $2,500. But they're saying here they can fine individual users $2,500 for any one-time starting November 3rd for a one-time misinformation
well, I'm
statement
glad
or
that somebody else is
act.
reading that, because who reads all those
Well, yeah,
terms
you
and
certainly
conditions
wouldn't.
anyways?
You certainly wouldn't read it.
So I just used PayPal to pay for a service last week. No, I'm
Yeah.
annoyed.
I generally think PayPal's okay, but all these big corporations, they work together. They follow the narrative, whatever the current narrative is, and so whenever you do business with any of these, we had a lot of people talk about GoFundMe when we used GoFundMe for our van issues, and a lot of people didn't want to donate using GoFundMe because they had done some things up in Canada I guess there was some Canadian trucking controversy where they kicked people off. Oh, they shut down a donation page and I think refunded all.
Oh.
Or they said they were going to give all the money to some other scummy charity that was going on, and then instead they'd refunded it all. But
I recall something like that.
It's got to go with the corporate narrative, the political narrative. And if it doesn't, you're gonna get tarnished.
It's wild. I gotta.
Okay, you want to take a quick pause?
Well, the sun is just blaring into my face.
Okay, quick pause,
so
guys. Okay, guys, we're back. We've had some spicy conversations here, and we just covered the PayPal one. It's 30 minutes, halfway through the podcast. So I think what we should do is switch over to Patreon. And we've got a few more topics I want to talk about. I want to talk about this Tulsi Gabbard situation. I think that's going to be really interesting. And then some kind of interesting ones. Some scary topics that I want to talk about. So we're going to switch over to Patreon. If you're not on Patreon, you don't know how this works, we have half the podcast here on YouTube and Spotify and iTunes, wherever podcasts are. And then the second half is Patreon only, to try and encourage people that enjoy listening to us to sign up for Patreon. And that's I think it's a pretty sweet added bonus you get for our Patreon. So if that's something that interests you, you can go to patreon.com/Allie and Dan. And there's links all over the place right down below in the video description.
Yeah, and just to let you know, there's memberships or however tiers as low as $5 a month.
Yeah.
So it's a bit that helps us out, and if it's something you're interested in, we'd love to see you over there, and if not, we'll see you next time on our next vlog.
Okay, guys. Adios.
Bye-bye.